For the last 19 months, we've all been gaslit, Palestinians first and foremost, about what's been happening to them. And suddenly, within the last, few days, week, we have seen everyone have
Yeah.
the revelation, Aaron.
Yeah.
They've seen it.
Yeah.
They see what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's awful. And now they know. I'm just wondering, why did the deaths of conservative figure 17,000 children blown to bits? You and I and so many others have watched, bodies in bags because they couldn't even be recognized because of the harm done to these people. Why are they drawing the line on starvation? Why is starvation the tipping point? Everything else we could take. Bomb them, blockade them. But starvation, ribs, we don't want to be seeing the ribs.
It's a great question. It comes down to PR, to public relations. If you're carrying out mass murder by bombing every single day a defenseless death camp, Israel could always say, well, Hamas fighters were there in the vicinity. That was the constant line. We're just defending ourselves. And Western politicians were willing to buy that Israel is just defending itself. Hamas uses human shields. But when Israeli leaders started saying, yeah, we're imposing a starvation siege, we're not letting in any food and medicine, and the images started coming out, just for public relations purposes, that became untenable. And Netanyahu even said, we're going to let in a small amount of aid, a token amount of aid, so that we can continue doing what we're doing, because some U.S. politicians were coming to us and saying we can't have these images of mass starvation. He didn't say we can't have mass starvation. He said we can't have the images of mass starvation, because they don't want those images reaching the public that's footing the bill. So this is just finally, after a year and a half, finally they feel they have a public relations crisis, and so have to do some token gestures in response. Look, from the first day, Israel never had a right to fire a single bullet into Gaza. They're the occupying power. Occupiers don't have self-defense rights. They have obligations. Their only obligation was to end the occupation. That was never the conversation. It was always about Israel's so-called right to self-defense. And unfortunately, even some people who are defenders of Palestinian rights didn't fundamentally grasp that notion that, Israel doesn't have the right to defend itself against a population that it's been attacking and bombarding for its entire existence. It has the obligation to end the occupation, and then you can have peace. But because we've normalized occupation, we've normalized apartheid, Israel's response, quote unquote, just seemed routine. So even someone like Bernie Sanders, progressive U.S. politician, who was critical of Israel, he still constantly had to repeat the mantra, Israel has the right to defend itself against Hamas. And that's because we've been so successfully indoctrinated with this notion that this is a both sides conflict. There's parity. It's a nuance. It's not. It's the simplest conflict in the world. One side is the occupying aggressor. And to resolve the conflict, that occupation, that aggression has to end.